Hi guys, welcome back to Sweet and Sour Soccer. This is part two. We are doing a player ratings for the season so far. Part one was on the goalkeeper and defense. Please go and check that out if you haven't already. Give it a like. Some good content in there. Differing opinions on a few players. Where Scott was wrong again, obviously. Well, let us know in the comments what you think. In this video, though, we're going to be talking about the midfield. We're going to focus on the centre of midfield because any other midfield player that we have, it's a wing attack, isn't it, basically? So we're going to keep them for the strikers. Right, first one. Let's just dive into it. Probably, along with Semedo, one of the most controversial, or let's say, opinionated players amongst Wolves fans, Neves.
Yeah, definitely. I was just about to say, to be fair, that the fact that, if you go back and watch the rating you gave to Semedo on the last video, I imagine this guy is probably going to be just as low for you, if not lower. Myself, I have gone for a 4 out of 10. I'm sure people will disagree, but the way I went about this is I looked at it and thought, you know what, going forward this year, I'd probably give him a 2 out of a 10. Defensively, I'd give him a 6, so that's how I reached the 4. The one thing he's done well, let's start with what he has done well on interceptions, and then it stops there.
You want to start with what he's done well and then end up on the shit?
Yeah, pretty much. Shit. Yeah, because, let's give him his dues first,
there's no wrong way to do things. Let's go.
He's done, it was very short and sweet. Interceptions, he's intercepted the ball well. Where do we start on what he hasn't done well for me? Well, one.
So hold on, we're starting on what he's done well. You've mentioned interceptions. Are we now moving on?
Yeah, that's it. That is honestly it for me. That's all he's done well. Actually, sorry. As we know, United have what do they call him? Bruno Fernandes. For me, we have Ruben Neves. Because that's the only other thing he has done well. He scores when he's in front of the spot. So
you call him Ruben Neves.
Ruben Neves. Because that's the only time he's effective going forward.
Yeah, well, Marshall in the group came up with a slightly more catchy name of Ruben Neves.
Well, either way, the point.
Stick with your conviction.
The point is, he's only good he's only been good going forward at the moment when he's got the when he's actually on the spot 12 yards out. God, I mean, at the moment when he gets a free kick, I'm just standing there watching, and I'm thinking, can we just give it to the keeper for a goal kick? Because at least then we can actually play on, and maybe from their goal kick we've actually got a chance of scoring. Because the free kicks, I don't know what's happened to him. He used to be absolutely amazing at them. Now, as I say, I just think, can we just give it back to the goalkeeper to speed it up, because he's absolutely dreadful at them this season. Going forward, he spends most of the time passing it backwards. Now, I don't know what's happened there. We haven't seen his classic long balls, picking out the wingers, opening up the defence. We've just seen absolutely none of that. As you can tell, I can probably keep ranting on about him for a while, but
yeah. I mean, you've taken most away from what I was going to say. I mean, I gave him a 4 as well.
A 4? Oh, okay. Well, at least we started well by agreeing.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't come to that on the conclusion of he was a 6 going for 6 defensively and a 2 going forward, because I think the 2 is a bit generous. If he hadn't have played semi decently against a 9-man Arsenal and Chelsea, he probably would have been a 3. But I think he did okay against Arsenal once they'd lost 2 men. And then against Chelsea, I think he actually did play pretty well. And he played well before that. He played okay before that, but I can't remember who. The last 2 or 3 games, he's improved slightly. But yeah, Neves, he's one of the worst performances of the season. He just hasn't kicked on. And he hasn't kicked on for 18 months now. Let's not pretend this has been a 3 or 4 months issue. I think last season there were little groups of Wolves fans that were saying, right, where is this Neves? Where's this, the next big thing? When's he going to kick on? Second season in the Premier League, yes, we were doing well. The whole team were doing well. And, people do say that, you get highlighted when you're playing a bad team. When things are going well, people don't pick up on these things. But Neves has been poor all season. Again, I think I mentioned with the free kicks in our football group, just give it to the keeper. It's more beneficial for Neves to just kick the ball out for throwing in their corner, pen them in, and try and win the ball back on the break in their half, than actually taking a shot on goal. Whether it's the fact that he must know he hasn't scored a free kick in, God knows, I don't even know how long. Was it Everton at home?
I can't remember the last one now. I know did he score against? Yeah, it might have been actually.
Was it the first game? No, was it the first game when we came up? We drew
Didn't he score? He scored against. It's gone out my head now. Didn't he score against Villa? But I'm not sure if that was last.
That wasn't a free kick.
Was that not a free kick?
No, it got pulled back to him on the edge of the box in front of the North Bank.
Yes, sorry, I was just thinking about the last time. Yeah.
Unless someone correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, I think his last free kick
in the Premier League, because we're doing this based on the league performance.
Yeah, in the league. I think it was the first game back in the Prem, 2-2 against Everton. I'm pretty sure it was. So I think he must know that, and I think that's what's playing on his mind. We've got people in that. I keep referencing our football group because there are so many people in there. There's like 10, 15 opinions, not just 3 or 4. But there's a general consensus that, we get stats thrown at us like, his interceptions are good. He's got an 85% pass ratio. I'm surprised it's that low if he's only passing to his wing backs and Connor Cody. How is his percentage so low?
Probably the one time he does attempt to go forward.
Yeah, he's been poor. I don't think what helps him is playing. The only benefit of the doubt I will give Neves, and I will give him this, I don't think it helps him playing next to Moutinho. No. They're not complementing each other that well.
No,
and I think that goes for both of them, and we'll come on to Joao in a bit. But I do believe if Neves had someone else next to him with a bit more legs, a bit more flair, he would maybe flourish a little bit more. Or on the flip side of that, we've never seen Neves in that number 10 role pushed up a little bit. Could he do it? We don't know. But
yeah, I mean, we saw him a little bit further forward in the Championship season, I think. But it's hard to know, isn't it? Because you're comparing the Championship to the Premier League. I mean, you look at his stats in the Championship and they were really good. I think I agree. I think we do need to see him a bit further forward. I think he could benefit from a 3-man midfield. I've said that before. I feel like a 2-man midfield doesn't suit him, and that might be due to the partnership of Neves and Moutinho.
It doesn't work in a 3-man midfield if Donks is the third man, and we'll come on to Donks anyway. Let me ask you about Donks then. Bit of an up and down season. 17 appearances, no goals, no assists. He's not famous for goals, but he has got them in the past. His defensive work isn't brilliant this season either, which normally, if he's playing well defensively, you don't mind not, getting goals or assists. What's your verdict? I'll give mine. For me, Donks, I think a 4. I think he's been poor.
You've gone for a 4, so you've gone same as Neves.
Yeah. From what we expect of Donks, he has made a few subs. He hasn't played all those games from the start, but when he has played, he has looked poor for me.
Well, I've gone marginally higher on a 5 out of 10. Again, I felt in the past that maybe he was a bit underrated, but now I feel like the opinion has shifted a bit. I think his performance has also shifted, and I think you're now looking at it, and I'm thinking anyway, that he's perhaps a bit overrated amongst the Wolves lot now. I think people like the fact that he can get forward and get into the box, but when he does get into the box, what does he actually do there?
I mean, I saw.
Yeah.
Carry on.
I mean, we talk about, he can get into the box and headers, but as you've just said, he's not scored a single header this season. And I always think it's hard when you're playing as a 2-man midfield, or when we do play the 5-2-3. I do accept that, the one thing I will say, if you're playing a 5-2-3, and you've got Neto, Adama, and, it's been Fabio Silva this year. I mean, it's hard. The way that we played our fast counter-attacking football, it's a bit hard for them to actually for Donk to even catch up to get into the box by the time the ball's like flying in. Because if you're trying to keep up with Adama and he's already 10 yards ahead of you, then you're not going to be there when the ball does come flying in. But I just don't think he's done a lot this season. I don't think he's been
No, he hasn't. And I just wanted to touch on there. I don't think that's a reflection too much on him personally. I think he's just playing in a very poor team again.
Yeah.
It does come back to Raul in the first video that we did, where, I think if Raul is playing this season and we've got an extra 7 or 8 points and we're 9th or 10th, would the likes of Donks and Neves be getting 5 and 6s instead of 3s and 4s? But you can only base it on what you're seeing. And I saw a quote today from Roberto Martinez. Obviously, he's the head coach of Belgium, so he knows Donks well. And he said he's one of those players where if you need him to play in the defensive role, he can. He can play in defence. He can play as that number 8, which I don't disagree with. He can do that. We've seen him before get goals arriving in the box. He normally is, in previous seasons, good in the air. So I wouldn't write Donk off. He's a good player. Is he allowed to have a bad 6 months? Of course he is. He's 24 now, 23. Give or take.
He's 23, 24, isn't he? Yeah, he's not in the peak of his career, put it that way.
Exactly. And a player who's playing for probably the best Belgium team they've ever had, arguably. He can play 3 or 4 positions. I just think with Donks, he's a fan favourite. He's never really caused any trouble for the team.
No.
He's just sometimes not up to the scratch on the day. But other than that, I think, I haven't really got much more to say on him. I'll give him a 4 because he's been good in last season and season before.
I think that's it. You have to base it on this season, and also,
probably
the same with Neves. I believe there's a player in there, we know there's a player in there, but he's just dropped off this season. Both of them have really, I'd probably say the exact same about the next person we're going to move on to, Joao Moutinho. Absolute brilliant player, one of the best.
5'7", football heaven. Yeah.
5'7", football heaven, as you say. Yeah. Unfortunately, he's holding up my my ratings in terms of being the lowest. So he's actually a 3 out of 10 for me. He's the lowest of the midfielders. In fact, he's the
Is he your lowest overall?
Joint lowest overall this season for me.
Oh, we haven't had
thoughts on that initially.
You didn't give any defenders a 3, did you?
No, there's one more.
Oh,
so the lowest was.
So the other 3 is coming up in another.
Another video. It's coming up.
I'll be interested to see who that is.
Now,
but
next video.
Yeah, with Joao, again, he's just a legend for club, country, and most clubs he's played for. With Joao, it's more a case of what's going against him is something that everybody else is fighting in life, which is age. You can't have a go at him for that. He's not 22 or 23. He's not 27. He's getting on a bit. But he gives 100% every game, every single game. He doesn't stop running those little legs, man, until they just literally collapse on him. I gave him a 5 only because he's not renowned for goals or assists, obviously. He's got 1 goal, which was a screamer, got us 3 points that we needed in the last game. Again, I think it comes back to that other argument with Neves. I just don't think they complement each other. I think both their ratings would be higher if they were playing with someone who wasn't so similar to themselves. Neves is he's just a younger version of Joao. He can cross the ball. He can hit a ball. He's technically good. He doesn't stop running. They're just, 10 years apart.
I think Moutinho could also benefit from a 3-man midfield. And again, he's look, his rating, I've just based it on, I can't say, oh, well, if he was playing in a three-man midfield, then it would be this. I mean, because he hasn't, so I've got to base it on what I've actually seen on him this season. And I mean, look, with Moutinho, I think, again, you know, as you say, age is probably slowing him down a little bit. Again, could benefit from that three-man midfield. I think if he had that three-man midfield, and the same with Neves, it might give them that space to do what they do best. And you've also got to consider the fact that, you know, a lot of teams these days do play with that three-man midfield, and I think that's why our midfield, you know, the centre mids we're talking about today have been so poor, because when it's a three-man midfield against two-man midfield, they've just been overrun in most games.
One of the I agree, and one of the things that I want to pick up on, which I don't think enough fans do, is Nuno's got just as much to blame in regards to, if you watch Moutinho for the first 60, 70 minutes of a game, I'm not saying he's brilliant all the time, but he's good. He's good enough because he covers so much ground. When he starts getting tired around that 65th, 70th minute, how many times have we seen Donks come off if he's starting, or Neves or Otasawi? His game dips when it gets to the 70th minute, and you can see how many goals have we conceded this season rather, after the 70th, 75th minute, when we're just getting overrun in midfield, and we've brought Neves off, but Moutinho's still on the pitch. And I think Nuno's got a bit more of a fault in regards to that.
I mean, let's not forget that we had, what was it, like probably about 60 or 70 games last season. We didn't have a proper pre-season. There was barely much of a break for these guys to kind of rest. And, you know, you're dragging, what, 34, is he now? 35-year-old player into another season just off the back of a 60, 70 game, of which he played most of them last season. You know, there's no wonder why his legs might be a little bit tired.
The last 2 seasons, he must have played close to 100 games in all competitions.
Yeah.
Quite easily.
Yeah, and I think you've touched on a brilliant point there. I think Nuno probably needs to learn to manage him a little better, needs to manage his game time. And we have seen it. He started benching him. And, you know, hopefully that will mean when we come to, I imagine we'll do these ratings at the end of the season. Hopefully he can be pushed a bit higher by then.
Yeah, let's hope. What did you give Moutinho in the end? Did you already give your rating?
I gave him a 3, didn't I? The lowest, and you gave him, was it a 5?
Oh God, yeah. I think that's harsh.
I'm guessing that's a bit.
I totally forgot that. I think that's a bit harsh. I don't quite think he's been a 3. I can't sit there and say, because I gave Semedo a 3. I can't say he's been anywhere near as bad as Semedo, in my opinion. But obviously, we know
Semedo's been better than Moutinho this year.
I mean, well, this is
when you consider all things.
On those things. Well, you can keep embarrassing yourself and talking shit, or we can just move on.
Let's move on to you know, the loan signing of Vitinha.
12 appearances, 1 assist, no goals. A lot of them have been subs.
Obviously, the one in the cup, but again, we're not basing it on. We're just basing it purely on the league. I mean, I'm not going to give him any credit for that goal against Chorley in boosting his rating. I mean, let's face it, any Premier League keeper saves that.
Yeah, I think I said when I watched it live, I think I would have saved that. I mean, he hasn't. How many games has he started? 12 appearances in the league.
Has he had a start?
Well, I didn't want to look stupid. Has he started a game?
No. I mean, at the very most, he's had 1 or 2. He's been a sub appearance only at most, and to be fair, especially at the start of the season, we only saw him for 2-3 minutes. At the end, he's definitely played.
Should have scored against Arsenal.
What's that, sorry?
Should have scored against Arsenal. That's the one thing.
Yeah. To be fair, I've seen him on a video today saying he should have scored, admitting he got all the technique wrong. So rating wise, what have you gave him?
I gave him a 6 because I just think that when he has come on, he's shown more in the I don't know how many minutes of football he's played, probably an hour and a half or an hour combined, however long he's played. He's shown more in terms of running with the ball, passing it forward. He gets the ball and it's out of his feet quickly.
Agreed.
No one's done that in the last 2 years. Now we've got away with it because we've had a good team. But he's, for me, the player I thought Neves would be. I thought Neves would naturally evolve into moving further forward. Nuno has different ideas, and obviously he probably knows better. But he's that one player that I think could take us that next level. I wanted to sign Barkley, and in the summer when I found out that he was available, Villa got him. Remember getting a bit of stick, and he's proved that he's good enough to do it. We have that running joke, of course, in our group of James Ward-Prowse being twice the player that Neves is.
Mainly pushed by me and you.
Only endorsed, yeah, by us too.
Yeah.
But it's a funny one with Vitinha. You're looking close to 20 million to get him.
Yeah, 18 million, isn't it?
18 million.
Again,
Have we seen enough?
Just quickly, I also gave him a 6, so we were matching on that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of the
From let's hypothetically say from now until the end of the season, we see him as much as we have for the first half of the season. Would you pay the 18 million, 20 million?
I mean, at the moment, it's a hard one to decide on. It's a position we definitely need. We need a Vitinha in the team.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, we haven't seen enough of him, have we? Because to go, would you pay 18 million for him? At the moment, I'd probably say no. I wouldn't pay that much, but we need to see more of him. We need to, and news coming out that Podence might be out for a bit. We might see him in that kind of 10 role. I think obviously we haven't touched on Gibbs because he's not played enough minutes. But I think if Podence is out for a bit, obviously at the moment we don't know at the moment, but that will give Vitinha and it also give Gibbs a bit of a last chance for them both to kind of prove their worth in that position. As you say, Vitinha, I like the look of him. When he comes on the pitch, you kind of feel some excitement from the midfield. Someone that's getting forward. He likes to express himself. He's an expressive player, and I think, I think he's got a lot to offer. But 18 million at the moment, I just don't think we've seen enough of him to pay that kind of money. I don't know if you'd agree.
Yeah, his age is the tempting factor that he could become quality.
He's not actually as young as I thought he was.
How old is he exactly?
I think he's 22, so I had it in my head that he was actually like 19 or 20, but no, 22 years 22. Old.
Yeah.
Still, let's say another 6 years before he reaches his prime, so it's not like we're signing someone at the potential.
Yeah, it's at least at minimum 4 years until he gets to his prime. It's one of those where if we did activate it, we did take him, and if in 3 years he's tearing up the league, you look at 20 million and it's a drop in the ocean.
Yeah.
It comes back to what we was talking about in the first video about if we were to make all these loans permanent, with Ait-Nouri as well, it's a lot of money on young players that aren't playing a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And we haven't seen enough of William Jose, but his release clause, I believe, is 22 million. Ait-Nouri, we spoke about his release clause again around the 20 million mark. It's been led to believe it is that amount. And Vitinha at 18 million. So, you're almost you're at like 60 million there.
Yeah.
Almost.
I don't see the Jose one. Personally, right now, if I had to bet money, I don't see us going through with Jose. But we'll come on to that in another video.
Yeah.
I mean, now, let us know what you think. Do you believe that Moutinho is a 3 for Scott? Do you believe that Donks is as low for me as a 4? Let us know. And if you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe, and what else, Scott? What else were the notifications?
I forgot my part then for a second. Press the notification so you don't miss a video from us.
Indeed. Right.
And part 3, which will be the strikers, will be coming out tomorrow.
Indeed.
The standard wet and flex at the end. I think this is going to become a regular thing, and I'll continue just to sit there awkwardly.
I'm going to have to start going to the gym if this is going to be a regular feature. I'm going to have to start doing press-ups again. See you guys.
Right. Bye.